to the one Celtic fans that view this evening. Tonight we're going to talk about the Scottish Cup. We're going to talk about quite a few things. We're going to talk about Michael Johnson. We're going to talk about Mikey Johnson. We're going to talk about the Scottish Cup. The referee has been announced for the Scottish Cup, and guess what? Guess what? Referee John Beaton has been given a Scottish Cup game this weekend, and then we're going to talk a little bit towards the end about a nonsense story that Leila Abada's team are putting out. We'll talk about that towards the end of the live this evening. First of all, we'll jump onto the chat. I'm going to jump onto the chat and see who is all in the chat this evening, first of all, because that's what we do every evening. Every evening. Michael Ross is in. We need to win every cup we enter from now. Every trophy. We'll talk about that in a minute. Green Machine says, good evening, Barry and boys, girls. Michael Ross says, yes, we can. When I asked the question, can we really win every game until the end of the season? Yes, we can, says Michael. He says, it just depends on the player's attitude. And Green Machine says, the answer to that is, quote, Celtic will turn up. And Michael Ross says, or which VAR officials will turn up. Any news on the red card decision? Nothing yet. Evening Baza from Maka and Gemma. Hail. Dominic is in the house. Jim F is in the house. Sound Phonetic is in the house. And Helen Mack, Sean Mahon, Paul Emery is also in the house this evening. Quite a few people jumping on the live now, so let's get right into it. I want to first of all talk about Mikey Johnson. And the reason why I talk about Mikey Johnson is the West Brom News. The West Brom News put out an article about 20 minutes ago. Mikey Johnson proves Carlos Coburn is better manager than Brendan Rodgers. No, it doesn't. It doesn't even say that. Mikey Johnson has enjoyed his stint at West Brom so far. And then what he said about the manager at West Brom, he says, he's like a teacher. And the stuff that he's taught me already is valuable for my career. I feel like tactically I'm learning every day. Every day. When he phoned me, I knew he'd be the right coach for me. I want to progress my career and build on last year. Obviously, I'm getting older now and I want to progress my career. I felt like this was a nice step for me. Everything was agreed between the two clubs, so it's quite seamless. It's telling that the 24-year-old suggested that he's learning so much from the Baggies boss after just over a month. Well, Johnson never explicitly said that the manager was better than Brendan. He feels that it's a fucking nonsense story. Anyway, that's enough about him. He's going to be sold in the summer, and I don't really care about Mikey Johnson because, let's face it, he was a player that everyone wanted out of Celtic, and he could never do it at the right time. Sell them. Exactly, sell them. Bye-bye, Mikey. Anyway, we want to talk about the Scottish Cup. Celtic won their first major trophy. It was the Scottish Cup, and it was lifted on the 9th of April, 1892. Stick with me, because when we talk about what's been happening over the last week or so with the VAR connection and the Lanarkshire Referees Association, wait till you see what happened in the early days of Scottish football. It's unbelievable. Celtic ran out 5-1 winners over Queen's Park at Ibrox as Hampden side. It was the first time that Celtic won the Scottish Cup back in 1892. Celtic would be the first club to overtake and win the Scottish Cup. They're now 40 times champions of the Scottish Cup, and they're also the record attendance was in a Celtic game at Hampden Park for the Scottish Cup against Aberdeen in 1938. 147,365 people adorned Hampden Park. Celtic hold the record cup victory, beating Hibernian in 1972. Fantastic year, 1972 must have been. And the most Scottish Cup appearances for Celtic is the one and only Billy McNeill. The most Scottish Cup goals was Jimmy McGrory with 74. 74 goals for Celtic, Jimmy McGrory in the Scottish Cup. And a record Scottish Cup final appearances is by a Celtic player, and it's no other than our own Bobby Lennox. Bobby Lennox has appeared in 8 Scottish Cup finals. 8 Scottish Cup finals. That's fantastic. And then the record for the Scottish Cup final wins by any manager is held by a Celtic manager. The one and only Willie Maley was his name. He brought some greatness to our game. And the record consecutive Scottish wins also goes to Celtic for the 4 in a row Scottish Cup wins from 2016, 2017, 2017, 2018, 2018, 2019, 2019 and 2020. Brendan Rodgers was at the helm for quite a few of those Scottish Cup wins. It's a cup competition. It's one that Celtic need to do well in, and it's one that I expect us to win this season, no matter what is going on. No matter what is going on. When you look at the Scottish Cup history, I'll get to the referees in just a moment. Bear with me. When you look at the history of the Scottish Cup, it was first brought around in 1873-74 season, and it was held at Hampden Park. And then a few years later, it was held at Hamilton Crescent, and then between Hampden Park and Hamilton Crescent, and then Cathkin Park. And then, just as Celtic come onto the scene, it changes from Hampden Park and goes to Ibrox for 2 seasons in a row. Then returns to Hampden Park for 1 season, and then from 1891 until 1894, 4 years in a row is held at Ibrox Park, not Hampden. When you look at the Lanarkshire Referees Association and the historic association that's brought referees through into Scottish football for such a long time, the irony that such an old organisation like the Scottish Cup is intertwined with the old Masonic lodge system, and it's funny how games suddenly appear to be played at Ibrox when a time that a Catholic club adorned itself to be of a dominant nature in Scottish football. And then obviously at Ibrox in the season 1891-92, Celtic win 1-0 against Queen's Park Rangers against all odds at Ibrox. Anyway, we move on from that. We move to the modern day. And we talk about the referee. The referee's appointments for this weekend. The referee appointment for the weekend. The referee has been decided when it comes to the Celtic game. We have Willie Collum. Celtic have Willie Collum. And on the line, you've got Frank Connor and Stephen Traynor. The 4th official will be David Munro. On VAR, we have Nick Walsh and Stephen Carr. The referee, John Beaton of the Masonic Lodge, will host a match where another known lodge member is managing a club at this current moment. Yes, Derek McInnes has been pictured many times doing Masonic handshakes to referees over his time as a manager over the years, and he goes to Aberdeen with John Beaton. John Beaton is referee, and fucking Aberdeen Aberdeen couldn't write this story. Aberdeen are going to have to suffer John Beaton, David McKeekie, Ross McLeod, Don Robertson, who was the referee at Celtic at the weekend, Andrew Dallas on VAR, and John McCrossan. There's absolutely no chance Aberdeen have got one hand tied behind their back this weekend. Oh, poor old Aberdeen. It's a proddy country. Of course it's a proddy country. That's why I moved to Spain, because it's a Catholic country. It's got a Catholic king, it's got Catholic fucking fiestas everywhere. But Aberdeen are pish. Kilmarnock will probably win that anyway. But the fact is, John Beaton is allowed back to referee, and he's refereeing against Aberdeen Kilmarnock. When it comes to the other games, the Greenock Morton Hibernian, they've got David Dickinson. Doesn't he do David Dickinson? Is that not him that does the fucking... Oh, Jesus, it's gone. Don't even go there, Baz. Don't even go there. Anyway, that's our referee for the weekend is Willie Collum, so that'll be interesting. Can Celtic go on and win every game until the end of the season? Can Celtic seriously go on and win every game to the end of the season? Do we have it in us to go on and win every game to the end of the season? Personally, it's a tough call. It is a tough call, and I think that Celtic you never know what Celtic team's going to turn up. You never know what Celtic team's going to turn up. And we should be at Livingston, surely. We should be at Livingston this weekend. I would hope that we would. If we can't be at Livingston, we just shut up shop and then that's it. It is at Celtic Park. We are back at Celtic Park. It'll be interesting to see what reaction the team gets. And let's face it, if we go out and absolutely scud Livingston 4 or 5-0, it proves absolutely nothing. It proves absolutely nothing, just like what it did when we beat Dundee. We went out and we put in a really good performance again, and then it meant absolutely nothing the very next game. Let's hope that we can go out this weekend. It is a 2:30 kickoff on the Sunday, and that'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting one to see what team the manager puts out, because sometimes during the cup competitions, managers have tended to put out some players that I think Brendan Rodgers will put out his strongest team possible for one reason and one reason only, just to make sure that he wins this Scottish Cup. Because if he doesn't win it, it could be a case that Brendan Rodgers might get chased out the door. Let me just change that. That's a bit better. Change the vibrance. There we go. Right, let's get back to some Paradise will be rocking against Livy. Will it be rocking? Will it be a full house? Will it be a full house? When it gets to this stage of the Scottish Cup, you tend to find that as many people buy the tickets as possible because you know if you're at this game and you get through to the semis and all the rest of it, you have more chance of getting a ticket for Hampden. The fact that Celtic do have a big allocation for the home ticket cup scheme, the allocation for Hampden's probably taken up already. Right, let's get to some of the comments and see what you are saying in the comment section. Jim and McGrory, is it a relation of yours? Well, there you go, Jim. There you go. That's fantastic. Yeah, I'm asking him. Evening, folks, says Martin K. Celtic 88, Tommy Gamble was the only player from the UK that has played in the world's best 11 team. Celtic and twice. Good evening, Baz. Hope you're all good, says Joe Docherty, Coatbridge, Little Island. Chilpel says, I don't think we should give up on Tillio yet, but might not want to come back to us. He wasn't happy. Talking about a player that wasn't happy, I'm going to talk about a player that wasn't happy. It was obviously Leila Abada. Leila Abada, his representatives or someone has decided to put a story into the Scottish media. Leila Abada claims or his ally claims that Celtic fans treated the winger disgustingly. What a load of pish. What a load of absolute pish story. Mark Pirrie, sports writer of the Daily Record, it is a nonsense, total pish story. That would have been in the press ages ago if it was true. The fact that he's now come out with this when Leila Abada's left, it's fucking good riddance to him when they're coming out with shite like this. He obviously forced the move. Leila Abada's former president claims that the winger was left with no choice but to leave Celtic, as sensationally declared that fans have been treating him disgustingly. Fucking nonsense. Absolute nonsense. The fact is that his former club, Maccabi Tikava are going to get a bumper payday because they're going to get some of the 10 million that obviously Celtic have made out the deal, selling Leila Abada to Charlotte FC. And oh yes, talking about Charlotte FC, I've got some information on Charlotte FC. We'll talk about that in just a second once I get it because it was emailed to me. There we go. From a supporter of Charlotte FC. Well, we'll talk about this first. So I asked them if he can give me some information about Charlotte FC, because let's face it, Celtic a club for all. Well, maybe if you're not Jewish. What an absolute Willie Crawford. What an absolute nonsense comment. What an absolute nonsense comment, mate. Come on. That is a nonsense comment. It's nothing to do with religion at all. It's absolutely nothing. But yeah, I wanted to just, as always, say nothing. The media, yeah. Oh, Abada, please say nothing. For fuck's sake, move on. Who cares about Abada, says Michael Ross. So I'm going to talk about his new team because I was interested to find out about his new team. And his new team are only in their third year of existence. Oh, he's went to a new club. He's went to a team that have an attendance of over 30,000. The second biggest single attendance is just over 75,000 in 3 years. The league only allows three players and one young player from outside America. Um, and they have just hired Dean Smith. Has got one eye. Rangers were meant to die. It's the wrong one, isn't it? Remember that tune? Previously coached at Aston Villa, Brentford, and Leicester. That's who their new manager is, and he has taken them. This move from Lil Abada has been completely orchestrated by Lil Abada. Completely orchestrated by Lil Abada to get him out of Celtic and to Charlotte. Who are they? Exactly. Kaiser is in the house. I was meant to get in touch with you today, the Kaiser, but I've been busy. Yeah, so they're a new club that were formed 3 years ago in the American League, the MLS. Um, People give the USA, one comment he did say, he says, people give the USA no respect when it comes to the MLS and the national team. It's really starting to catch up these other countries. And so there's no chance the MLS is catching up with other countries in America, in South America. Not a chance. Um, Countries will have no choice but to notice us in a few years' time. Oh God. Well, yeah, so it's all good being a dreamer. Dino Smith of Villa, yes, Dino Smith of Villa. That's who now manages them. Anyway, let's move on from that and close that down. The Lila Bada story. I'm disappointed in people trying to say that he was chased out of Celtic when it was absolute nonsense. Right, let's get back to the comments and let's get back to the question that I put out at the start of the video. Can Celtic win every game until the end of the season? And it's a serious question, and I want you to tell me in the comment section: can Celtic seriously win every game? With that performance at the weekend, and was it the performance? Did the heads go down when the sending off happened? For me, the first 10 minutes after the sending off, I thought we still played well. We controlled the game. We controlled the ball. You wouldn't have thought that we were down to 10 men in the first half. But as the game transpired, we all know what happened. MLS is a retirement spectre for most professionals who are done. Yes, exactly. And that's why I think Lil Abada's career, Lil Abada can forget about any type of career at European Champions League level. He will never make a team in top European Champions League level. He's just killed his career for the sake of so-called religion and a war that's going on. But so be it. So be it. He goes to America. Celtic have made 10 million. Bum, bum, bum. I've spent the day going through all my Lila Bada pictures that I use for videos, and they've all been deleted. Just like every other player that leaves Celtic. They all get deleted out the files. No longer required. Charlotte FC seen their fans protesting in support of Palestine. Oh my, do not say that. Do not say that their fans wave Palestine flags. Fuck me, Abada, I'll be fuck. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, can't do that. Right, let's get back to the question. Can Celtic seriously win every single game between now and the end of the season? If you'd asked me a couple of weeks ago, I would have said yes, it's out of our hands. But when we get the game that like we did at the weekend, it doesn't matter what happens with VAR. It doesn't matter what happens with referees. We have to be better. We have to be better. We have to be scoring more goals, and we have to put penalties away. It's as simple as that. Draws have cost us far too much when it comes to the league. When it comes to the Scottish Cup, we're a couple of games away from a final. I reckon we can get to the final. Can we win it? Yes, if we're on our game and on our day. It all depends what happens with the league and how affected the players are for the league. So can we win every game? No chance we will win 9, sadly. Yes, we can, says what Papa Francesco, El Papa Francesco says yes. Lanky says yes, we can never get it. Lorna says yes, keep the faith trips. Graham Hardy says sending off cost us the game. Did it cost us the game though? Because when you look at I've watched the game again, and when you look at the play, the field of play, we were still in control of the game. We were way in control of the game for 10 to 15 minutes after the sending off. and we didn't make it count. It's in North Carolina. Chilwell says, "I wish we would stay out the Middle East politics. It's went on for hundreds of years and it will continue for hundreds more." Yes, I know, but there are uh, people in our support that would back anyone, and I don't just mean people in Palestine. Anyone, any. I'm not even going to talk about it. Let's move on. Let's move on. The Dubas is a funny fucking Kaiser. I'll piss myself laughing. Not literally, it's just a metaphor, obviously. But I'll roll about the floor laughing if it turns out that they fucking wave Palestine flags. The corrupt refs will help the zombies. Yes, they may, but it's whether they get away with it or not. It's whether they get away with it. Yes, we will win the league and the cup, says Martin. Kalmak's injury isn't that bad. Hatate is on his way back. We can definitely win. Will Will Hatate be back in enough time to make a difference to the team? Who then gets dropped? For me, it's probably going to be Paulo Bernardo. Does Tomoki Awata get dropped and then Kalmak move back into that holding midfield position? On previous performance, I'd probably say yes. It is paramount that all these people that have been going on this season, Kalmak's playing shite, we need to drop Callum McGregor. Well, there's exactly the type of performance that you get when Callum McGregor's not in the team. Callum McGregor is a fantastic servant of the club, and we need more like him. We need to get young Kelly through and up to pace over the next couple of years because, mark my words, that is your Callum McGregor. If he stays at Celtic long enough, that's your Callum McGregor replacement long term. Mark my words for it. Strangelove Doctor says, Baz, I never think about things in these terms. So many things happen from day to day. I just like to concentrate on the next game. We can win that. Yes, we can. I think we do need to win. We do need to focus just on one game at a time. And it's the way that the team has been successful. When you look back at the stats that I give you for the Scottish Cup over the years, Celtic have got the record for consecutive Scottish Cup wins from 2016 right up until 2020. Brendan Rodgers masterminded quite a lot of those cup wins. Brendan Rodgers masterminded quite a lot of those cup wins. Can he do it again? Can he make sure that it's a cup that he's 100% successful in? Celtic do hold the record for holding the Scottish Cup, and they've got the record for almost everything when it comes to the Scottish Cup, from record attendance to record Scottish Cup final victory scoreline, which was 6-1 against Hibernian in 1972. You need to spin the wheel if you're of that age and you're trying to do anything online. You're just like, oh, spin the wheel. Hatate will be back after the international break, which is in just a couple of weeks. Love Hatate. Paulo is off it, sadly. Paulo's not had to perform. They're tearing Palestinians down in Dublin for fuck's sake. Nobody can be asked for it. I think they're not just tearing them down in Dublin because of that. People in Ireland, I don't even want to get in the situation with Dublin and Ireland and what's going on Ireland because it's nothing to do with us. It's about football. I want to talk about Celtic. There have always been refs. It's not an excuse. We've just not been good enough, says Michael Ross. I completely agree with that one. I completely agree with that. But we have to be better to go on and win this cup. There's going to be drastic changes at Celtic this summer. There's going to be drastic changes because we're going to have a new man in the recruitment office. The man that comes in the recruitment office must have contacts with clubs and players from all around the world. And have to be of a certain standard that Celtic can afford. Celtic have to change the purse strings. There's no use bringing in a recruitment guy if Celtic are still going to say, nah, we're still going to hit the £2 to £3 million player, because that's not good enough. We need players that are Champions League ready, European football ready. We need players that have played European football, that know how to play against European players at a decent level. And I think that's been part of the problem with the Japanese players since they've came to Celtic. As good as all the Japanese players have been, when it comes to Europe, and they've been found wanting. Let's face it, they've been found wanting. They're not as good, and they're not in Europe. It's a different type of football playing it in Asia than it is to play in Europe, and we need to be bringing in Europe. Forget the English market, because the days of us getting good money from the English market. People will say, look at Adam Ida, that could be good value for money if we get him for the right price. But in general, the English market is done and dusted for me. We need to be looking out wider within Europe to try and bring in players like Henrik Larsson, players like a 33-year-old player that came to Celtic Park who everyone said was done. And that 33-year-old player went on to have some fantastic games for Celtic and scored in his first game against the Rangers, who am I talking about in the comments section. Scored in his very first game against the Rangers at 33-year-old when he was brought to Celtic. He was a little bit of a magician. That's all I'll give. That's the only choice I'll give. Let's get back to the comments. Lanky says, I think Brendan will get one of his colleagues at Leicester. Chilwell says, Hatate was never injured under Ange. And was he never injured under Ange? Got to remember, Ange Postecoglou had a lot of injuries his first season. He had a lot of injuries his first season, and it almost cost us the league also. Martin says, Celtic, I need to take the Masonic refs out of the question. Simple, yeah, this is true. Chris Fraser says, also, he says Celtic will win the league. Celtic will win the league. Dermot needs to spend his millions on quality players. And that's not how it works at Celtic, unfortunately. We don't, with financial fair play rules, you can't dip into your owner's millions. It has to be within the capacity of the club generating the income. Gone are the days of football, and when you look at Man City have got something like 115 charges against them because their owners dipped into their own pockets. When are Man City going to get the charges thrown against them that could ultimately get them relegated out of the league? So that's never going to... Yes, it was Lubo. It was Lubo. Lubo. You've got it. I love those little ones. Yes, it was Lubo. Lubo was fantastic. Came into the club at 33-year-old. Everyone said he was done. And he scores on his very first game against the Rangers. I think it was Chris Sutton that overstepped the ball for the wee man to hit it with if I remember correct, if the old grey matter remembers rightly. So, Chilwell says today, I actually heard that either doesn't have an option to buy in the contract. Someone needs to ask Roger that question. It doesn't. We never bought him. We didn't take him on loan with the option to buy. I think this is the reason that Brendan Rodgers has forced the issue with Mark Lawwell and forced him out the door, because the players that was offered to Brendan Rodgers were not Celtic standard, and he was offered 5 other players and he turned them all down. Lanky says we'll win the league with 2 points clear of them in his opinion. Determined not by Robbie Keane. I have no idea. And that was maybe back in the day, but that was, Jesus, how many years ago was that? That was about 20 years ago, wasn't it? That was about 15 years ago, easily. Man, that was an easy 15 years ago. Things have changed since then. You can't have your owner buying players and paying the wages of players. Look what happened to Sevco. That's what I'm saying. Or someone on about. That's what I'm saying. Now you Celtic state of mind saying it today, and now you can't. We didn't take the option, but there is no option to buy. And that was announced when Celtic made the loan move. There was no option to buy at all. Look what's happened tonight. I just noticed that number there. Look, that's woohoo. There we go. That's just jumped up 5 this evening. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel this evening. Love Lubo. Lubo was a fantastic Lubo Moravcik. We need to be finding players like Lubo again. If we've done it once, we can do it again. We can find players like Henrik Larsson in Europe. We can find players like Lubo Moravcik. We need a European scouting system. What happened to that little European team that Lubo was connected to, that Celtic were going to use as a feeder team? These things seem to dwindle out over the years. And why? Why? There has to be European players out there that Celtic could be getting in for good money. And then you're going to say, it's the whole project player thing. But ultimately, we need to be investing in our own academy, and we need to get our own youth players through, because that is the backbone of the club. The backbone of the club are players that come through that want to play for Celtic, that love Celtic. It's their dream to play for Celtic. Their family support Celtic. All their friends support Celtic. That's the lifeblood of your club, and we need to do it. That was it, Lanky. We need to get more players coming through the academy. and on a regular basis. That's what it comes down to. Chibble says, and it's been that, his save called Mike. Loved Abada. My wife was from Cork. Whoop, whoop, up to Cork. And Carlin says, if we're getting 10 million for Abada, why do we not spend the money in January? Because in January, we didn't know that Lil Abada was wanting out of the club. In January, Lil Abada was still happy to be at Celtic. And if you see the last game that Lil Abada played for Celtic at Celtic Park, as soon as the final whistle finished, he ran up the tunnel. And if you ask anyone that was at the game, it's like he was fed up seeing a Palestine flag, so he ran up the tunnel. And he was getting pressured by his family back home, to get out of Celtic because Celtic supporters support the Palestine people. They do not support terrorist organisations. They support what's happening to women and children getting killed. So, yeah. That's all we're going to talk about it. He's done, he's dusted, he's like the Grumpy Greek, he's never spoken about anymore in any. We should employ Lubo as a scout for us. Lubo was a scout at one point, Chelpel. He was a scout for us with that club that he was involved in. Baz, who was your favourite loan player? Who was my favourite loan player? None. Fraser Foster, if anybody. Fraser Foster, because he was important. Fraser Foster has probably been the most important loan player that Celtic have ever had in the history of loan players. Can you tell me another loan player that's had the impact or been such an important player? Generally, when a player comes on loan, it's for half a season, so it was generally half a season with Celtic. But the fact that we had Fraser Foster for so long, Craig Bellamy. I don't know. Nah. Because we didn't win anything with Craig Bellamy, did we? Is that not during the time that the Sevco won the league? Can Vata play on the wing? Yes, he can. Bellamy, a few folk going for Bellamy. Mine would be Fraser Foster, just due to the importance of his contribution to Celtic when we've had him on loan. Samaras, we never had Samaras on loan. We had him for years. If you remember the game, right? We're talking about Samaras. We're going to talk about Neil Lennon, and Neil Lennon's been a Close Brothers loan. Yes, Green Machine. There's only a certain amount of people knows about the Close Brothers loan, and Close Brothers, they have an APR of 49%, 50% APR. It's like a payday loan. My brother told me the information about that years ago when it came out. Fraser Foster all day long. Ramon Vaga. There you go. Robbie Keane? Nah, because Robbie Keane just come up to have that badge. He comes under the bracket for me of players that just wanted to just have it on their CV. They played for Celtic. It was at the end of their career. What is the question? The question was who's the most important loan player that you think has ever played for Celtic? Mine's is big Fraser Foster because of the importance that he had to the club. When you look at a lot of, we won the Scottish Cup with Bellamy. Bellamy was like lining. Yeah, he was, but I don't think he had. And when you look, Fraser Foster for me. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, everybody's got their own. Favourite loan player would have been Ewan Boy. Sammy was on loan, and then we bought him. Sammy. I can remember being at Hampden when we got beat by Ross County at Hampden, and Sammy spent most of the wing on his arse, flapping his hands up and down, and that was the quarter final, I think, or the semi final. I can't remember. But anyway, we got beat by them, and it wasn't a fun day. Sure, it was Ross County. Was it Ross County or was it Kelly? Kelly. Anyway, move on. Tarmac, Ewan Boy, who was your favourite loan player? Yeah, that was the question. Who's your favourite loan player? I agree with you, Baz. Fraser Foster. And we're talking about players that have had was Bellamy not just at the club for half a season, though? Was he not just at the club for half a season? I don't know. Can't remember. Long time ago. Shows you're getting old. Yeah, Ross County in the semi. Yeah. and because I had my two daughters there. And I can remember the oldest one saying to the youngest one, because she's sitting and she's like, "Oh, this is piss, this is boring," and she was like, "This always happens when she's like this," and he flapped about, and that was one of the reasons that Neil Lennon had to leave as manager, because that was the year where no, it wasn't. It was the year after, where Celtic could have played both finals at Celtic Park. Celtic had both finals at Celtic Park, and Neil Lennon couldn't get us to the finals at Celtic Park, which is something that was unbelievable. He couldn't motivate the players that season to get them to the final at Celtic Park. Paddy Roberts, there's a good shout. Paddy Roberts. I'd say Paddy Roberts was better than Bellamy, for me. Personal opinion. He was good on the wing. He could take on players, yeah. Scored a couple of goals. Ian Roy, $2. Thank you for the $2, even though that YouTube will take around about 30% of that. But thank you, Ian. He's been, hey, where are you coming from, Ian? Tell me in the comment section where you're coming from that you're giving us $2. Paddy Roberts, people talk about Paddy Roberts. Barca, called the Fraser Foster Wall. Yes, they did. Fraser Foster the Wall. Paddy Roberts, when he was on loan, Paddy should have stayed. Paddy Roberts was pish, says Chow Pill. He's been found out now. Lenny liked, yes, the 10. He broke the 10. But Lenny should never have got back. For fuck's sake, you go. What happened to Paddy Roberts? He's another player that left Celtic thinking they was going to make something of himself and didn't. And didn't. And it's happened to many, many players. He was good when he was at Celtic. Your boy Martin says, I was in Thailand in 2005 and I tuk-tuk and the driver was shouting Craig Bentley hat-trick and he was wearing a Celtic top against Dundee United. There you go. No chance Roberts was better than Bellamy. Do you not think so? At the time, I'm not talking about his overall career. I'm not talking about his overall career. Bellers was better than Paddy, I'd argue. Yeah, there you go. No, he wasn't embarrassed. Come on, man. It's just, it's all about getting interaction. That's all it's about. It's just about getting interaction. Paddy Roberts spent 2 seasons on loan. The second year he was rubbish. Yes. Did we not loan Cameron Carter Vickers? There's a good one. Well, you could say, who was your best loan player? Cameron Carter Vickers, Jota, Fraser Foster, or Bellamy. Now there you go. You've got four to choose from. You've got four to choose from. Who was your best player? I'm going to start a poll. No, I'm not. Can't do that. Who was your best players? Who was your best loan player? Was it Jota? Was it Cameron Carter Vickers? Was it Craig Bellamy? Or was it Fraser Foster? That gives us one player from pretty much every part of the field. 100% Jota. 100% Jota comes in first one. Bellamy was much better than Roberts. Look at the cap difference between Bellamy and Roberts. Yeah, but that's Chilpel. I said for their time at Celtic. I didn't say their entire. I said not their entire career. Take out their whole entire career and think about just their time at Celtic and how long they were at Celtic. Baz, how much weed were you smoking when Bellamy played for us? It wasn't weed back then. Jota, Big Fraser, the wall, Foster. God, I miss Jota, says Mike. Baz, why don't you set up a PayPal link for donations to YouTube that won't get 30%? Yeah, I wonder where I could do that. No, I'm going to do that so that they don't. Lorna Gallagher says Jota. Some Michael saying Fraser Foster. Fraser Foster better than Jota as a lone player? That's a good question to put onto the. I'm going to put that on the community tab. 1,000,000% Jota. I won my Celtic top in Mumbai, and all the English were going mad. Law went over to India for the cricket versus England. Jesus. Cameron Carter Vickers says Tiffany Jota. Has Jota played for Portugal yet? No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. And not at first team level. He has at under 21s, but not at full team first team level. Fraser Foster, Mike Ross says yes. My favourite Celt was Henrik. What a player! It's an absolute honour to be able to have. been one of those people that said that they seen Henrik Larsson play at Celtic. Because you think about it, we're all getting old and that. We're all getting old. To be fair, Fraser Foster was brilliant in the League Cup final. Mike says, Portugal Express says, Jota and Cameron Carter-Vickers in recent years, but Bellamy in times gone by. So who would have been out of the four? Because it's important that we get a player from most positions in the pitch. So we've got the keeper, lone keeper is Fraser Foster. We've got Cameron Carter-Vickers. On the wing, we've got Jota, and up front, we've got the one and only Craig Bellamy. Who was your favourite lone player? Favourite lone player of that time? Mark Reaper, do you remember him? What a defender he was. Yeah, Mark Reaper was a fantastic defender. Mark Reaper. With big Goldie behind him in goals. Oh, that was a nightmare though. Baz, what's the temperature in Spain in general? It could be from 20 degrees where I am up to the north of Spain where it's probably around about 10 degrees. And it'll be even less because there's part of Spain that's got snow. There's part of Spain that does have a lot of snow. And the ski resorts will have the snow just now as well. The Sierra Nevada. Sierra Nevada is the highest mountains in Europe. And they'll have the ski will be well and truly on them. Yeah, but I've seen snow up the north of Spain. So Spain's a massive country. It can be snowing at one end of the country and 20 degrees down on the costas. It has to be Foster for the impact he had. Yeah, that's what I was thinking to start with. As Foster, he's more or less won as the cup final. Yes, he did. Bob the Minecrafter says, create a dream team of lone players. Wow, that would be an interesting one. A dream team of lone players at Celtic. Academy and projects are okay, but we need a nucleus of players to look up to. The nucleus of your players today is always going to come from and through the Celtic system. It's been the Celtic way. Celtic have always brought players through. We've not been as good at it. We've not been as good at it over the last many, many years. And I think it's important that we do not let go the young boy Kelly, because I think he's going to be a fantastic player in midfield. And I think he could let us forget he could be as good as McGinn. I'm going to say that now. I think he could be as good as McGinn in years to come. Write this date down and write it that I said it, because I think that young boy Kelly could be just as good as McGinn in midfield. And he's one of our own. Let me go get back to some of the comments. Fraser Foster, Jota, Henrik versus Lubo. What a team when they were on the park. Yes. Fraser Foster, single-handedly won us the cup. 100% Foster. Paolo Di Canio, he was never on loan. Paolo Di Canio was a disruptive member of the Celtic dressing room. That's why he had to go, say Tommy Burns. That's what Tommy Burns said. He was a pain in the ass in the dressing room and he had to go. I'm not picking him for right back. That was the League Cup. Di Canio was not alone. Yep, we know that. We need more up from the academy for sure. Yes, we do. Joe Doherty says, my God, I can't believe that I have put in my text I have how to hell. Chris Fraser says, Baz, the temperature with you right now. We're at 88 degrees today in Houston, Texas. 88 degrees. Jesus. Wow. Is that Celsius? That's not Fahrenheit, is it? That's what is that in layman's terms? Because we didn't go up to 88 degrees. We get to like the 40s and we're all burning here. Steve Machine says, if we keep bringing in project players, legends will be hard to come by. This is very true. This is why Celtic need to be bringing and putting, and hopefully when this new £20 million state-of-the-art stadium for the youth guys, hopefully that'll start the conveyor belt. But there has to be things to be done at youth level. We need. I think the league needs a reserves league. I think playing in the slower leagues is crap. We need the reserve league back. Just me. The Canio was crazy. Yes, he was that. If Celtic don't win the league this year, I can see Rodgers continuing as manager next season, as the board will knock back Rodgers from day one. Yes, he will be. Brendan Rodgers will still be manager. I'm going to come out and say that just now. I think he's on a 3-year contract. Celtic will not pay out the best part of 5 million or 4 million to get rid of Brendan Rodgers. Not a chance. Not a chance. And then they've got to bring in someone else and then we start it all over again. We're not going to be able to go out and find the next Ange Postecoglou that's going to come in and bring in a fantastic amount of players and do what he did. That happens once in a while. That happens once every now and again in management. And I think we've had our chance with that. Talking years down the line, who would be the next Celtic manager? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But as for Rodgers will stay. He'll see out his contract. And that's just the way I see it. There's no way that Celtic will... And Brendan Rodgers is too tight with their owner. He's too tight with their owner. And the fact that he's managed to force Lowell Jr. out the club, mark my words, that's a massive thing in the Rodgers camp. If there's a power struggle going on at Celtic between the Lowell family and Brendan's now sitting at 1-0. Brendan's sitting at 1-0 and he's won the home front. And he's probably sitting at more than 1-0 actually. It's probably sitting at 3-0 and it's game over as far as Brendan has said. John Kennedy. No, I do not want John Kennedy anywhere near our manager as a manager. Not a fucking chance. Not a chance. Are you mad? Are you mad? John Kennedy should never be our next manager. Not a chance. Not a chance. He's not good enough. He's not good enough. If that's what you're going to do, that's a step backwards. That's managed decline. That's managed decline. If you think that John Kennedy is the next step up, not a chance. He was part-time manager when Brendan left the first. No, it wasn't. When he was part-time manager before, and they fucking couldn't do that. No, fucking Jesus! You're trying to give me a heart attack. You're trying to turn me to drink. Jesus, John Kennedy as manager. Are you having a laugh? Seriously, the way that we've been playing. You remember John Kennedy takes the training pitch. John Kennedy organises the training. He organised the training under Ange Postecoglou. He's now doing the exact same under Brendan. And you want this guy as manager? Come on. McCarthy will be the next manager next season. Nobody else will employ Rodgers, says Chilpel. Not John Kennedy for me. 1-0 doesn't win the league. 1-0 doesn't win the league. Agreed regarding John Kennedy. Reaper was a player. But Paul Elliott was better. Yes, that is true. Paul Elliott. He was a fantastic player. Fantastic player. Right. I've just noticed that I need to go. I've just noticed I've been on for far too long. I was only coming on for half an hour. I told the missus, I'm coming. Look, see, 47 minutes they've had me talking for. See what happens when you're having a good time. Anyway, we are sitting on 15,504 subscribers up there. Thank you to everyone who's watched the videos tonight. Thank you to everyone for subscribing to the channel. It absolutely means a lot to me. It is an honour to be able to talk about Celtic to you guys every day. I'm just a fan just like you. And just like me and you, I love the Celtic too. And on that note, have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans all around the world.